And welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture, joined by another one of the Michael Sidgwick from WhatCulture, here to review last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Sidgwick. Michael Hamflett, surprisingly, taking I can't believe I'm about to say this, day off.
It sounds like, looking at my Twitter notifications, you had a day off yesterday, a day off wrestling analysis, that is, by being an idiot with your self-indulgent SmackDown rubbish, bleeding into the AEW coverage. That will not happen again today. Thank you very much.
We're here to review AEW Dynamite.
Just do your job.
What are your thoughts on this show?
I had a really good time with it.
Yeah.
I had a really good time with it. Not perfect. One less than ideal execution of a very good idea. Main event continues to main event. But it just struck me watching this. There wasn't a match on this show that there was one match on this show I would consider unbelievable, great. Up and down, more good to very good than great, but just certain flashes of the in-ring action. It's just, they're still best in class, and it still just electrifies me. A good time with the show. Action heavy, but there's time to really, really hammer home those builds for the key programs next week, I think.
Yeah, I went into this show
in a very irreverent and silly mood.
Yeah, I wasn't hugely hyped by the card, if I'm perfectly honest. And, you know, that main event, which I'll hold my hands up, I went in
Unreal.
going, it's so, like, from the moment we talked about this tournament or whatever you want to call it being announced.
Series.
Yeah, we were like...
We did.
It's obviously Takeshita versus Omega, but despite how blatant that's been, there was a bit in that main event when I went, oh, cool, I guess everything's changing and Orange Cassidy's fighting Kenny Omega now?
Yeah, look, I will say I was cynical about the international title series. It has been well done, though. You've got, like, wrestlers synonymous with the title. Orange Cassidy is the man who elevated it in prestige to... by some distance, the most important of the three other belts. Quite frankly, I'm more important, more invested in the international title and the world title at this point. I mean, if you look at the lineage from what Cassidy did with it, I still recall vividly the All-Atlantic. What we're doing here? Considering as well, right, in the time frame when it was announced, Tony Khan, and he's calmed down on this front, but he would do almost a bi-weekly huge announcement gimmick, knowing that it would drive ratings, and it became difficult to take seriously, so he stopped doing it quite so much. But this title, when it was named the All-Atlantic, was launched like deep into this huge announcement era before it became a meme and I had to reel it back. And this one didn't get a huge announcement. It was just sat on the commentator's desk, and Tony Schiavone went, well, looks like we got a new one of these.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, what are we doing here? An own goal of a mistake. And, it turns out this one's the important one, and the TNT one has gone down. But if you look at the lineage, I've described this title as the star rating inflation banger version of what people used to think of the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Like, where it's the best match on the show, and whoever gets it is going to at some point get elevated to that main event level, or at least headline a pay-per-view, It functions in the exact same way, and quite frankly, your nostalgia, the match quality is much better. I mean, look at what Ospreay was doing it with it last year, Look what Cassidy did with it. Takeshita, what he's been doing with it, like in New Japan as well this year. Love that title, and I love this series, all told.
And there was one thing on this show where I thought, ooh, I'm sure Sidge is going to have something he's going to want to say about that. And I think we could have done it better, and I have an idea for it that I will get to. Also, so there's a huge popper in this show that I know you've already seen, but I will point out to everyone because I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And, yeah, AEW's going to AEW in terms of just like, oh yeah, just a casual Will Ospreay being mint again, week in, week out. This is. And positive signs in the Deathriders storyline.
Well, I've got a take on that.
Okay, well, let's get into it.
Stick around.
Because that's what started the show effectively. Excalibur's doing his big intro with the pyro and what have you. And we cut backstage to Cope in an ambulance and says he's basically got the Deathriders their ride for the night. He's going to take another one out like he did to Pac on Collision.
Right, okay. Professional wrestling in the United States on television, particularly if you've got the budget to do this sort of thing, is so unbelievably just ingrained with this Attitude Era mentality. Vehicles have been a part of, like, you know, people have been ran over in the territories in Memphis, so like, and people have had, like, you know, the horsemen of broken guys' arms in car doors. So I'm not saying that Russo invented the idea of doing loads of stuff with vehicles, but, you know, it used to be, you know, somewhat tethered to, this could conceivably exist. Oh my God, one of these madmen pro wrestlers, one of these arsehole heels has used their own vehicle, which they have, right?
To use to drive between towns.
Yeah. To break someone's arm or to run them over. That's heightened but realistic. How the has Cope acquired an ambulance? Imagine, right? No.
Pre-ordering one.
Yeah, no. I'm serious now. This is the kind of thing that just washes over people's eyes. Not me, Doug.
No.
It doesn't wash over me. So, let's just, you know, extrapolate. Let's just take a step back and start to really be pedantic, because that's what I'm about. I like butter in my ass and a lollipop in my mouth. That's just the kind of guy I am. That's just what I like. Okay.
Burned through those lollipops, didn't we? It was a busy week.
Yeah. Let's do a 10-minute bit about our favourite lollies, guys.
Good point.
No. I like a cola-flavoured lolly. That's it. Shut up. So, Cope, he's just got an ambulance, okay? Has he gone to the local hospital and went, can I have one of those? And they've went, oh, no, there's a big opioid crisis in the States right now. There's like violent crime in every major city, unfortunately, and that's across the entire world. No, you can't have an ambulance because it's really, really important that we have an ambulance on hand for people who, you know, are in emergency situations, and it's a matter of life or death. What do you need it for, Adam Copeland? No, sorry, it's Cope. Okay, Cope. What do you need the ambulance for? So I'm just going to hit someone with a chair. And then you need to go to the hospital after that. And it's like, well, what if you don't do it?
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Cope, what happens if this scheme of yours? It's nice that you're being, you know, conscientious, a proactive thinker, so we can get on the scene in advance. I suppose there's a medical reason for you to have it. What if, you know, you don't actually get your thing done, and you don't get, and your actions aren't, you know, carried out, and you don't get to use the ambulance? Would that not be a waste if we were to loan you the ambulance? Loaning an ambulance, how does that work? It doesn't. Okay, well, it is going to work. How do we know? Oh, well, Mox is going to beg off. Hang on, who's Mox? He's the wrestler I'm involved with. Okay. How do you know he's going to? What's this? Beg off? Run away? Okay. How do you know he's going to beg off? Oh, he does it every week. Hang on, isn't this Mox the hardest guy of all time? It's stupid. I hate these stupid vehicle things all the friggin' time.
I literally like the idea now.
How did he get an ambulance?
Yeah, you put it in my head. Ring. 911, what's your emergency? Hello, I need an ambulance. Oh, absolutely, sir. What seems to have happened? Oh, don't worry. It's not happened yet. I'm going to need it in about an hour when someone's brains are going to be splattered all over the ring. Sorry, what is this, Minority Report? How can you tell us it's going to happen? Well, there's a time segment that Claudio's going to be conveniently looking for me just after a match is finished, and then we'll fight out to the ring and I'll smash his head in. And actually, probably get a second ambulance, actually, or just get one with 2 beds, because there's going to be a woman as well. Sorry, you planning on splattering a woman's brains all over the ring? Well, not me.
Not me, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that we don't have to do this anymore. You could, if you wanted, really think, take a step back and actually revolutionize the episodic TV model so we can just move away from... This is probably a good idea, if anything, Vince Russo's creative vision.
Anyway, we also get a pre-recorded video from MJF at the start of this show. He's laying on this bed and he cuts this promo. It's revealed what's happening afterwards. You could guess, but he says, we're here to get rid of the biggest mistake of my life. You, the fans, are why the mystery has been drained from my heart, my sport, my passion. You overanalyze my craft as if you're informed enough to know what to look for based on who you cheer. You clearly don't. I've watched on as hypocrites have chanted cowboy a faker, a phony, a pretender when I'm right here. Literally giving you an arm and a leg. Now I'm truly going to bet on myself. You people are spoiled. You're part of the generation that got to watch the best ever do it in real time. And you people chose him. Hangman Page. I used to believe in 3 letters. Now there's only 3 letters that matter to me. Not AEW, not FAN, but MJF. And it's revealed that he is having his bet on yourself tattoo laser removed.
Yep. To be honest, right, I thought to MJF, delivery, really, really good. I don't know when they had the idea to do this angle, the bare bones of which I really like. They might have thought, don't put too much into it. The fans might have forgotten that he had the tattoo, you know. But this is a problem with AEW pre-tapes in general. I would have just luxuriated in this a little bit more. Like, it just felt a little bit sudden at the end. Oh, the tattoo's gone, you know. I thought they could have... Hamflet will probably be raging watching this because I think he wanted a lot of pomp and circumstance around the idea that he was going to get the tattoo removed. And it's a bit weird that he had the AEW tattoo. It's a really good character decision. Like this guy, MJF, the fictional character, is so narcissistic and thin-skinned and just desperate for approval. And there's still layers there. And now a layer has literally been removed. I had a lot of time for the idea. I think me and Hamflet have both petitioned for it to happen. I just want them, during these pre-tapes in general, to just slow everything down. I got the gist, and then I saw the reveal. I don't know.
Triple H strategy, but to pre-tapes.
Yeah, I just want a little bit longer to live, because what's...
Register, almost.
Register all this. Because what's irritating is that AEW's pre-tape content is often fabulous. It just doesn't last long enough for me.
Yeah, agreed. We cut back to the arena, though, and there's a truck with some bullhorns on the hood. No surprise, it's Hangman Page's. And he storms through the backstage area. Someone even sells just him throwing the keys at him. Jesus Christ, Hangman! And he walks out to the ring, and I'm thinking, oh, what poor bastard's out there then? And it's poor Aaron Solo and Hangman Page. This is just like... It's his weekly sort of attempt at relieving stress somewhat by kicking someone's ass. He beats the crap out of Aaron Solo. I think Solo got in a single corkscrew kick here before Hangman Page just nailed him with a lariat, set up for it. Crowder into it. Crowder behind him, obviously. Big buckshot. Pins Aaron Solo, obviously.
How hot does he look in street clothes, by the way?
Really, I like they're just out of the way. I'm here to come on kill somebody. It should be MJF, but as Hamflet sort of predicted on the preview, he just runs through someone.
So he did talk some wrestling at some point.
He talks about what's about to come as well, whilst I suggested that Hangman Page wants to get his hand on Max, but he's accidentally attacked Max Caster because they've said, oh, there's Max over there, which wouldn't... Now I think about it, it wouldn't really have made much sense. But yeah, he grabs a chair, he grabs a mic, and he says there are 3 things he hates in this world. Running out of biscuits. Preach, brother. I think he means the American biscuits, but, you know, I hate when you run out of chocolate digestives. English ivy, and when a little spray-tanned bitch spits in his face. So he's going to sit here and wait till someone finds him, MJF, and drags him to the ring to suffer the ass beating of a lifetime. But doesn't have to get someone to bring him out because MJF's music hits and he walks out and he's wiping his hands off on a white towel that's covered in blood. Cut my music, he says. You want to fight right now? You nuts? You're crazy, man. You're heartless. I'm not fighting you right now. You know, we're going to fight a revolution. I'm going to go home to beautiful Long Island and train for this. And he goes to leave and he goes, oh, sorry. Almost forgot. Awfully worried about your friend. Should probably check on him, in fact. Because now is the part where we find out who's actually real. And MJF leaves and we cut backstage. And there's a bloodied Christopher Daniels, opening the blood up a little bit more, but bloodied Christopher Daniels, coated in the stuff. And Page grabs the chair, marches to the back. He wants MJF, but MJF's already bailed at this point, and he finds a bloody Christopher Daniels, as I said, and he orders medical staff to take care of him. commentary talking about how Daniels is the sacrificial lamb in this feud, but it reminds us how far Page is willing to go to gain revenge for his friends and family.
A quick note, and indeed critique of Hangman Page's character work, which I never thought I would say. I'm being a little bit facetious here, a little bit flippant. He is the anxious millennial cowboy, correct?
Yes.
If he was truly anxious, he wouldn't run out of anything. I have anxiety.
That's a very good point.
On a very small scale, right? I never run out of anything that I need. The anxiety would go, do we need anything from the shop? No.
The first thing you think of when you open a coffee thing is, it's going to run out.
Yeah. Do we need anything from the shop? No, I don't think so. Try again. Because I'm going to go, because we need some washing up liquid.
Yeah.
There's a half full bottle. It's half empty, I'm afraid. It is half empty.
Could I just jump in very quickly?
You're allowed.
Bought a six.
As long as it's like a 60-40 mix.
Okay.
Of wrestling and then analysis. Maybe 80-20, goddammit. Not 100 none. Not 100 none like you were doing yesterday. I've been reliably informed.
Oh, we did a bit of wrestling analysis. Just talked about biscuits and chocolate and that as well.
Interject.
I'm with you on this one, so much so that I bought a 6-pack of washing up liquid from Costco, brother.
Nice. Bulk purchases. I would if I was allowed. I'd love to get it. But we don't have the space. It's irrational, and I know this deep down.
Now, we've talked about
I would probably be a prepper if I lived by myself,
Yeah. Now,
for the doomsday that is every day.
Mrs. Sidgwick is an official...
anxiety, Adam.
No, Mrs. Sidgwick is an official doctor. Does that mean you can get a Costco card? Because there's like limited jobs that can... I haven't got one. We had to go with our mate Sam to sneak in and get around this loophole. Does that mean you can get a Costco card now?
Maybe we'll have to see.
We should get it as influencers, really.
Onto the actual pro wrestling content. I like how he hasn't just flipped to babyface and heel. As ever, when it's me and Hamflet, we always think of, right, who was one of the best to ever do it with the best instincts, who just knew what they were doing? It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. When you knew he was finished, and everyone's finished in the end at some point. They can come back, but everyone's conditional finished. Why begging off the night after WrestleMania, Steve?
Yeah.
It's fake. I don't believe this. And then 2001 happened, and it was a complete disaster. So I like it when a wrestler will always hold on to their traits. And AEW's actually really good at this, and yet again, do not get enough credit for it. MJF's actually fantastic at... he first showed a glimpse of how, but is there a babyface under that exterior when he feuded with CM Punk? Just gently adding those traits, or rather revealing those traits weeks and months ahead of a babyface or a heel turn, often agonizing over the decision to do it. I just feel like there's a sophistication with the heel and babyface turns in a lot of AEW examples. And Hangman Page is obviously a very, very clever guy. He's doing it as well, where he's still raging, he's still seething. He is not the old Hangman, but, he's just dropping those little bits of comedy, not laying it on too thick, just the biscuits line. That felt like Adam Page restored a little bit, or on the way to becoming Adam Page again. Just these little subtle, he can make you smile.
And he's a big plant guy, hence the English Ivy side of things as well.
Yes, indeed. So that was strong. I cannot believe I'm going to say this, right? But you know what AEW should study when they are going to film off-screen attacks?
What?
2019 WWE.
Wow.
There's literally one example. I, as a rule, cannot take off-screen attacks in pro wrestling seriously because pro wrestling often cheaps out on the use of props. I just didn't believe, really. I thought it was a good idea, obviously. Chin, Christopher Daniels. Remind people all over again that MJF, despite, being outwardly a coward, running away, spitting on people, if he can get you, he will do horrible things to you. He is a nasty piece of work. Really, really sort of cold, calculating, sociopathic. I understood all of this from a character perspective. It was the week to do it after he showed ass last week. This all makes sense, but my God, it looked like he'd had Jell-O put all over his shirt. An off-screen attack when it's there's been too much of this in AEW recently. Again, a good idea a necessary beat of the story from what preceded it. All the time in the world for the idea, for the ambition, just the props, and just a lot of things that happen in Backstage in AEW just instantly cheapens what they're trying to achieve by it just not looking great. The towel looked good.
Yeah.
So I had high hopes for the reveal, but it's like, oh, no. When I
Maybe tell Christopher Daniels when you come around the corner that he shouldn't be doing that either.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd never believe it. Never really believe it. The wildly, okay, Batista Dragon Ric Flair.
Yes. That was a glimmer of light in a very dark time.
Yeah, because obviously Ric Flair's not cleared a bum, so they couldn't do anything, but they didn't do the whole, he's been, mysteriously attacked. They had him dragged out. Just like little detail can go a long way. And that just felt like, he looks like a corpse.
and the poor cameraman. Good to you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
Just a little bit of thought wouldn't have gone amiss here. Just, I don't know if it's like a timing snafu or just whatever. It just didn't look great.
So we see highlights from the match on Collision with Bandito and Chris Jericho for the ROH World title. And then earlier on in the day, Renee's there backstage outside of his dressing room. She congratulates him on a title defense, and he's like, I see. You're trying to be nice to me after how poorly you treated me last week, effectively. And Renee asks how he got in this whole situation with Will Ospreay and Bryan Keith and this bounty on Ospreay's head. And Don Callis is revealed to be in Jericho's dressing room along with Mark Davis. And he calls Ospreay a degenerate piece of garbage. And there's a little look from Mark Davis. He still holds somewhat of a candle for his old mate. But Callis said that Jericho assured him he had the solution for his Will Ospreay problem. He's got a bounty hunter at his disposal.
Disposal?
And
what's that?
Brian Keith has what it takes to be a champion in AEW and beat Will Ospreay. Brian Keith's his man. And Callis is very excited and leaves. And we should also mention, because I do want to make sure I don't forget, the sunglasses that Carl Fletcher was wearing in the suite that they're watching this from, Callis and Fletcher, when this match actually starts. I'm not sure if he's worn these before and I've just not noticed. Did Carl Fletcher's sunglasses have small corks hanging off them?
I didn't notice
I looked and I went, Jesus Christ, that's incredible.
I'll have to check the footage.
Yeah.
I'll have to check the footage. I thought this was a good bit of narrative overlap. I wouldn't go so far as to dust off the old classic and say it was deft dovetailing booking. But what they're doing here is showing you, they're doing a few things at once here. So maybe it is deft. They are showing you a few things at once. One, Mark Davis is still deep down a baby face. And then Chris Jericho and Bryan Keith, they're going to slowly, because they're basically going to dissolve the learning tree at some point. We've already seen it with Big Bill. There's a slow burn and everything breaks down in the end. But now Chris Jericho is going to take umbrage with Bryan Keith for losing to Will Ospreay. And Jericho, the character is not personally invested in that, but the next time Bryan Keith does something that really affects Jericho, he can say, he didn't get it done against Ospreay. Why do I continue to trust
Twice
you?
I've put a bounty on someone's head and you haven't collected it.
Indeed.
Big Bill lost the match last week, but he didn't, it wasn't like out cold. I'm right in thinking he couldn't escape from the bloody barbed wire, right?
Yeah, they did the Lance Archer Mox finish. So a nice bit of deft overlap, and he got a really good match out of it that I was more taken by than, we'll get to it imminently.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Bryan Keith versus Will Ospreay. Keith actually got the early advantage, but Ospreay immediately turns the tides with a snap Hurricane Rana, hits a big boot and a standing Sky Twister press for a near fall. Sets up early for the Hidden Blade, in fact, but Keith takes a powder to the outside, and Ospreay hits him with a huge dive that effectively takes us to break. When we come back, Ospreay's dominating, hitting Kawada kicks, but Keith fires back with an Enziguri and a big lariat. There's a Stun Dog Millionaire followed by an Oz Cutter for a nice near fall. And Ospreay distracts himself, pointing and shouting at Callis and Fletcher in the box thing that they're in, and that allows Keith to come back with a pump knee. He also hit an Emerald Tiger Driver for a great near fall, and he can't believe that hasn't got the match won. He goes for it again, but Ospreay rolls through into a Styles Clash and a Hidden Blade for the 1-2-3. Post-match, Ospreay's yelling at Fletcher, and Fletcher's like, come up and fight me here then. And Ospreay's like, okay. And they fight in the crowd, and everyone has to get separated again as as the fans are just loving this.
I've really liked this rivalry. In fact, I've loved the Ospreay-Fletcher rivalry. This was a neat way of advancing it and getting an Ospreay match on TV. Will Ospreay is, at this point in his career, by some distance, the best big match wrestler in the entire sport. He's up there in the all-time stakes. He's absolutely unbelievable. My mild critique of Will Ospreay's work is that on TV, sometimes he is prone to, selling the fatigue of a sort of run-of-the-mill routine TV win as the fight of his life. This, in contrast to some of his other efforts on TV, was like really understated in a way that I was like thrilled by watching. He took Bryan Keith not as someone who was worthy of that delayed cell, adrenaline, fighting spirit, pop-up hidden blade, because not everyone has to be.
No.
He just treated Bryan Keith as a wrestler who knows his way around the ring and who can, create shortcuts and cheat and, get some good moves in. But ultimately, like, Will Ospreay should be sort of handily defeating a Bryan Keith. And in this match, he handily defeated Bryan Keith. But at the same time, this was really quite well laid out. I had a lot of time for this match in terms of just a throwaway TV match, ultimately, is what it was. But created just enough drama. He just found a perfect balance, I thought, between a match he should be winning, a match he was inevitably going to win, and still getting a crowd reaction and still getting the crowd to bite on those near falls. And to underscore that, he didn't do, again, the adrenaline, raw, I'm too, in the game now to sell, pain, adrenaline, fighting spirit forearm. He just maneuvered Bryan Keith from a near, an impossible-looking position into that Styles Clash. This is sacrilege, right? I don't even think Ospreay himself would agree with this, but I think he does a better Styles Clash than AJ. AJ
nowadays, definitely.
It's not just the actual impact of the move, and I know that AJ was very, very creative in his TNA years at the transition, but Ospreay's ability to do that is just stunning every single time. Was it against Pac on pay-per-view last year where the crowd were like, I think because they couldn't believe how he'd actually got into it. They almost anticipated, he can do it. So that was really good. And I'll tell you what, right, you wouldn't necessarily compare Ospreay to Bret Hart. They've got very different approaches. Yeah. Both are wonderful at what they do in different ways. Ospreay does a sell in this match that reminded me of Bret Hart was when Bryan Keith caught him with a knee. What Bret Hart was amazing at was just getting something done to him that just stopped him dead in his tracks. Like the way he used to sell the stunner. In a weird way, this reminded me of that, where it's just like my whole body's messed up, so much so that my brain's not telling me to fall theatrically to the ground. I've just frozen in pain and crumpling. I thought Ospreay did a great job. He did that ankle snap, sell as well. That was really strong. And again, he's so great consistently that you almost forget to praise him for stuff that he's great at with Ospreay. He did a chop to Bryan Keith here. I thought he'd sliced his nipple off. It was just gruesome.
I think Keith hit him in the throat as well. It's nice. Nice exchange that. But Keith fails to collect the bounty on Ospreay's head. Your thoughts on bounties and favourite chocolate bars? Have you got one?
I've got a favourite.
Top 5? Maybe that'd fit in you.
Yeah.
And I'm annoyed that I didn't mention the chomp for my little finger yesterday, so I just wanted to correct that. Right that wrong, at least.
You know what I bought yesterday from Aldi?
What?
The best word to describe this would be a slab
of?
I'm talking about a big off rectangle of Cadbury's mini egg dairy milk.
Yeah, the crossover.
It's not as good. It's like the dairy milk with a little bits of what are they called again?
Mini eggs.
A mini egg in and of itself is better.
Yeah.
Mini eggs and Maltesers, those are my things at the minute. Galaxy's, timeless. I'll come up with 2 later.
Okay. Speaking of timeless, we hear about Toni Storm and the attack on Collision that we talked about on Monday, of course. She's been told not to travel. So we'll get an update on Saturday. So we'll talk about that next Monday. Job done. Check out the Collision review.
Yeah.
And then we see a Momo.
Looks good this week. Not, I can't wait, I'm going to preview it. Good.
No.
But it looks good.
That's, a Momo Watanabe, a highlight video from her time in Stardom and the winning the International 4-Way for the shot at a title. And it's confirmed it will be Momo versus Mercedes.
Money.
At Revolution, and we see Mercedes. She comes out and says, Oceanside, say hello to your CEO. She says that Momo made a big mistake, just a meh. And then Billy Starks walks into shots, and Moné calls her a kid and slaps the drink out of her hand. Starks is like, who the hell do you think you are? And Mercedes runs down her nicknames, and Starks is like, you forgot one, you narcissistic bitch. And Starks reintroduces herself and reminds Mercedes she should watch her back because Momo Watanabe has snuck in behind her and swings a baseball bat at Mercedes, who bails, and in the process drops one of her 4 belts, which just so happens to be the TBS title, which Momo picks up and says, bye-bye, money train. At Revolution, she wants the gold.
Look, this is a 20-second, 30-second deal. I shouldn't use this word to describe it because it's hyperbolic.
Okay.
It's diabolical.
That were diabolical.
That were diabolical. It was the most, everything I hate about WWE's approach to scripted dialogue and exposition was just evident in this little, ultimately inoffensive to everybody else except a dickhead like me interaction, okay? But the Wikipedia page getting ran, these insults, like the two characters, interacting for the first time, speaking in a way that no one on earth would speak to one another. You know what I mean? It's just, I hated this. And irrationally, total over-exaggeration, a total overreaction.
Yeah, well, Ali would have forgotten it tomorrow.
I irrationally hated this segment, the dialogue, how the characters interacted, how thick I was made to feel by watching them interact.
Yeah. And now you mention it, the very much sort of old school WWE.
Is that Ring of Honor's Billy Starks?
The very much old school WWE thing of, you just swung a baseball batter. That's a bit much, right? I thought you wanted to fight it for the title. Regardless, picks it up. Say goodbye to the money train or whatever. I want the gold.
WWE's still not very good, by the way. Carry on.
And they have to stand
old school WWE.
They have to stand there. Yes, it was a different time. They have to stand there and just wait until it goes, and they're like, that looks good on you.
It was the most
cut.
It was the most fake, filmed, scripted. You're an idiot, so you have to watch it in this way. Hated it. Don't do it. Stop doing it. Please stop doing it now.
Very funny bit on NXT with Ariana Grace and Santino Marella.
I'm sure it was terrible.
Oh, it was great.
I'm sure it was diabolical.
It was by the way, fantastic showing for the Hardy Boys, actually. Great seeing them in NXT.
You like the Hardy Boys
really
now?
Enjoy them now. Big fan of theirs.
Yeah,
fine.
Because from March 2020 until about last year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Didn't like them very much.
No, not a fan at all. Ugh, no. And now, don't know, just big nostalgia guy, me. Great show from the Andrew J. Brady Music Centre on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I hate you. No one saw it.
But
I got those Twitter notifications of going, the kids are out of control.
Yeah, I knew someone had grassed us up.
Got annoyed.
I said it at the time. But one thing I did call on our Collision review.
Well, that cream eggs, is it?
No. It was what happened next.
I do 10 minutes on what's it's. Crisp or not crisp?
Very close to my heart, what's it's, obviously. But you rolled your eyes when I suggested that the Outrunners could earn themselves a title shot. And what do we get next? It was Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum versus the Murder Machines, Brian Cage and Lance Archer. Also, still funny. I laugh every time. If you're anything like me, and I know I am, the promo from Truth Magnum, which was for the Omaha men's basketball team. They were doing like a pep talk for ESPN Sports Center.
Sports Center.
And showing them how to beat up a trash can or something. I would run through walls for those men. Anyway, we get the match, obviously, with effectively the winners getting a title shot against the Hurt Syndicate. Good news, bad news. Hey, could be good or it could be bad. I love them so much. Archer and Cage attack, obviously, at the bell, but Truth Magnum low bridge both of them, and they do their poses before being pulled to the floor. Murder Machines take control as we go into a break. When we come back, the fans are trying to cheer up and cheer on Truth Magnum, who's getting isolated. There's loads of corner splashes by Lance Archer. Brian Cage comes in, but he missed some charges. Truth Magnum hits a jawbreaker, sidesteps Lance Archer, and makes the hot tag to Turbo Floyd, who runs wild right up until Lance Archer flattens him with a big boot. Cage dropped Truth Magnum with a DVD, and they want that powerbomb chokeslam combo thing, but Truth Magnum saves his partner. It all breaks down. Archer no-sells some strikes from Turbo Floyd, hits a right hand and a chokeslam. You think that's it, but no. Kick out at 2. Cage and Truth Magnum fight on the outside. Archer sets up the blackout. He's got the match won. The Hurt Syndicate's music hits. This distracts him enough for Turbo Floyd to wiggle out of the blackout. O'Connor, 1, 2, 3. The Outrunners have won. Get in.
I don't know about any of this. I was just kind of baffled. I think I was into the idea, right, of Murder Machines versus Hurt Syndicate at Revolution. The match should be like a fun, like, bit of monster mashing in and of itself. I really like the idea of that match in the context of the card, because these AEW pay-per-views, even the very best ones, probably go too long for me. 39. We're on our 30s, fact. Shorter, leaner time.
And it's a Sunday night for us now.
Yeah.
So we haven't even got the luxury of, like, just catch up at it on the...
Well, I don't, because I've got 2 kids, mate.
On the weekend.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. But I like the idea of, because this is not going to go like 18 minutes. It's going to be like just a nice 10 minutes of just, you kill each other.
Bombs, yeah.
You kill me, then I'll kill you. Throw some bombs, take some bombs. Whoever's left standing wins, you know. And they still might find a way around to it. But this, I think, needed to go perfectly in order for it to work, because it was quite an audacious bit of booking, and I think it just failed. It really failed. Like, here's what I think was the idea, and I don't know if the match went too long to accomplish it. Was the idea, right, the Murder Machines are much better than, I love them, but this is the gimmick, those Outrunners goofs who can kind of get it done, but they don't know how outmatched they are. They're a bit deluded. They think they're from the 80s, but they're endearing and we love them, etc., etc. They can give you a fight, but they're going to get their asses kicked. They're a prelim comedy team ultimately at the end of the day. So what's the idea here? The Murder Machines kick their ass. The other team get a few licks in, but ultimately they're going to kick their ass, and it's pretty much a formality. The Buddy Hurt Syndicate's music, you know, sounds, and then they get distracted. It's like, they've beaten them. They've beaten them. Not only is that a monumental shocker, right, but the Murder Machines, in addition to being massive in a physical match to the Hurt Syndicate, are now really pissed off.
Yeah.
So they've got even more motive to kick the Hurt Syndicate's ass. None of that really resonated, if that was in fact the idea, because this just felt like a 50-50 sludge match that threatened to go really awry at one point. And there's just simply, it doesn't matter how cute you want to be, there's just no justification for a distraction. There is no justification for an entrance music distraction finish. It's never been good. It'll never be good. I don't care how long they've not done it. Stop doing it. Never do it again. I hate it. I hate it a lot. I can feel a LaGreca bubbling up inside me. But I'm going to, don't want to be LaGreca. Nobody wants to be LaGreca if they're not playing a game. You know what I mean? I was just like, what are you doing? Please don't do that. Please don't do that. It's rubbish. It's never going to be good. Whenever the question is asked, how do we do this finish? Entrance team distraction. Get the out. You're f***ing fired. Okay?
Yeah.
Let alone, oh yeah, that sounds great. It doesn't sound great to me. It sounds like a finish synonymous with the worst era.
Hold out of your race.
Yeah. Synonymous with the worst era of WWE. Never do it. No justification. I've got an idea. Oh, what is it? Should we do an entrance theme distraction? Get the f*** out.
So then, I take it.
So what was your read on this? Because you like the Outrunners, but did you come away from this thinking, oh, bloody hell? And maybe you know what the problem is. I know I've just answered your question and stepped on your dick. I'm sorry. I will let you talk momentarily. Maybe the idea is, right, okay. Hurt Syndicate, first pay-per-view as champs? Yeah. First pay-per-view as champs. Give them a fun match, not a believable title change match, you know? Maybe the idea is Brian Cage and Archer separately have just done too many jobs, and the idea of them having an aura, and it's like they've lost them two, but they're wrecking machines. Not really, you know. They don't have that credibility as characters, so maybe it fell apart on the basis of maybe if the Murder Machines were just like on a killing spree and they had the aura, and then they lost to these, you'd think, oh man, the Hurt Syndicate might have actually messed up if they've pissed these guys off.
Everything that MVP said on Collision is proven true.
Yeah, I know. Maybe if they had the aura intact as these two wrecking machines, you might have actually pissed them off, and that's not a good idea. But none of that actually rang true at all, you know.
No. I was happy for the Outrunners to win. I don't know. Are they having the match on the pay-per-view?
I've got no idea what they've done.
There's no mention of it.
Yeah.
Like you say, that card's... We've got another big match we're about to get to be added to it.
There'll always be more.
Oh, yeah.
This is the dub.
I was happy for the Outrunners, but I anticipated that this was a mere bump in the road for the Hurt Syndicate, or a diversion, let's say, before they get back to the Murder Machines. But yeah, weird booking decision. As much as I would always back the Outrunners, and I want to see the Outrunners versus the Hurt Syndicate, but I wanted to see that with the Outrunners as like temporary champs, and it being like, right, well, that was fun while it lasted. Yeah. Here comes the Hurt Syndicate to kill everybody. Not as, I don't know, it feels weird. Like the Hurt Syndicate, as we've established, they're not baby faces, but people want to, we hurt people is a chant that's over.
Yeah.
It feels weird. It feels like an obvious bit of booking to be like, okay, Murder Machine's on the pape, obviously.
Nice, fun horse fight.
But now it's like, well, people want the Outrunners to win as well, so what are we doing? What are we doing?
I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing.
We see footage of Cope killing Pac on Collision with the Concertos, and then there's a promo shot somewhere in a dark and dingy room with Mox talking about Cope, saying, you know, I'll fight you anyway, fight me in an alley or whatever. But I appreciate someone around here who wants to play for keeps. And
I know he's a hypocrite, but he did say no first.
Claudio.
He said heels should be hypocritical, but I just haven't got a handle on what kind of heel John Moxley is.
No.
I mean, he's a bitch on this evidence.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Claudio says hats off to Cope for what he did, but now it's not him hunting them. It's Castagnoli hunting Cope, or them hunting Cope.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who cleanly defeated Danielson. You know, it's just gone so... I love American wrestling TV when it's done well, okay? Just increasingly it isn't. It's just gone from, oh my God, an actual big bad who's just destroyed Danielson in Seattle, despite, you know, the home state, town advantage or whatever. And now he's bitching out with Cope, of all people.
Yeah, it is.
I just don't believe in it.
It is a bit. I know his name's not, you know, not nice to be mentioned right now, but it is a bit like Brock Lesnar running through John Cena at SummerSlam and then being like, Jesus Christ, there's I don't know,
Edge.
Edge is here. I don't want any part of that, mate.
Yeah.
Since how's that vein on his forehead?
Yeah.
But moving on to someone we absolutely adore here at WhatCulture, and it's very strange to be saying that if you'd have taken a time machine back about at you like 3 months and told past Michael Sidgwick that, he'd have said, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Is Ricochet
the GOAT?
We see his recent success and his comments talking about wanting to be a champion last week in AEW, and then just need a little bit of help with this. The bit where he said to Prince Nana, you're not getting back the embassy robe. And out comes Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana and Swerve. There's a bit with here where he said, 3 years ago I looked at Tony Schiavone in his eyes and told him I'd win the AEW World title. And Tony Schiavone says something like, yeah, you can hear him on commentary. All right, Tony, you're not going to sing along with this. But he says it's fitting we're wrapping up Black History Month because he made Black History when he won the AEW World title. He not only defended that title night in, night out, but he also showcased it all the way up to All In, of course. But he admits the AEW title has not been his focus. Nana was right. But make no mistake, he is still the man around here. He needs gold around his waist. His weight. He's still the best wrestler in the world, is what he says. But there's an idiot wearing bifocals, wearing something that doesn't belong to him. Ricochet, you say this is over, but it's over when I say it's over. Out comes Ricochet, and he comes out. He's got the robe on. He's got a backwards cap on. And he says, Swerve, are you stupid or are you dumb?
Why did he say that?
Yes, he said it before. Hasn't he said this before? I feel like he's...
This could be, they gave business cards to Mercedes Moné and Ricochet back in the Hurt Syndicate. I don't think it's anywhere near joined up. I just thought some people just, and I'm guilty of this as well, subconsciously just take stuff.
Yeah.
I hate the idea of plagiarism.
Yeah, I'd never nick anything from anyone.
Okay. To the point where Hamflet is built on a joke. Now, guys, I can't put that in an article. It's yours. I'd just rather have the article be bad.
I do it, but I don't always try it. If it's your thing on the news, I'll always give you the nod. But anything else, I wouldn't steal catchphrase or anything like that.
No.
God, can you imagine? I do remember doing the Truth Magnum catchphrase on the news once, and someone tweeted me going, "That's hilarious," and I was like, "No, it's not mine.
It's not mine."
Credit where it's due. Anyway, Ricochet says winners don't chase losers. He puts down the local sports teams. You can barely hear him from the booze. And he says he's going to be something that Swerve will never again be in AEW, a champion. And he spins the cap round, and it's a Philadelphia Eagles cap, of course. But he denies...
Did he say sucks ass?
The Padres and the Chargers.
I love sucks ass, mate. It reminds me of when I was a new metal-loving teenager. That sucks ass. What do you think of the second Cold Chamber album? That sucks ass. Sold out doing another 80s cover, haven't they?
He denies Swerve's challenge, though, and says, no, I'm not fighting you again. Next time you see me, I'll have gold around my waist. And I'm not talking about the Louis Vuitton either. I want to reach through the screen and punch you so much.
He's amazing.
It's brilliant. But Nana says, Ricochet, you might want to reconsider that. I talked to Tony Khan earlier, and he agreed the fans deserve a rematch. All Ricochet has to do is accept it, and whoever wins that match will be the number one contender for the AEW World title. Ricochet says, you know what? Credit where it's due. All I got to do is whoop Swerve Strickland's ass and get a title shot? Okay. But not tonight, because, even if you got everyone in this arena to do something, they can't afford my fee. We'll do it in the City of Angels at Revolution, and his music hits and he walks off. And Nana holds Swerve back and says, actually, I've got to talk to you. I'm proud you're taking this step, Swerve, to be the AEW World Champion again. It's what we all want. But I need you to go back to who you used to be, the most dangerous man in AEW. Look, I've taken a lot of bullets for you. Hangman Page, Sting, the Hurt Syndicate, Ricochet. And he's there walking around in that robe. My legacy. I need you to get that robe back and fix my legacy. Because if not, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Nana walks off and Swerve just looks at him leaving.
I like the idea very much of doing this for the number one contender deal. We assumed it was going to be stepped up. I like the challenge of having this just be pure in-ring violence without resorting to plunder. And I expect with the steel cage match being on there, and I think Tony Storm and Mariah May need it to juice up their
we don't know the rules of a Hollywood ending match yet, but we can get it.
It seems that it's trending in that direction. So I do like the idea of, ultimately you can't rely on plunder all the time. It doesn't look like it's going to get stepped up. It's got a different selling point now. It's going to be Swerve Strickland who's going to get his win back, and Swerve versus Mox. They're lunatics. I had an idea. I want MJF and Swerve to have a program at some point this year. Remember the little glimpses last year that they never really followed up on? Hey, Max, you little bitch. Yeah. Swerve popped me. That's when I started thinking, you're actually the champion here. I just think the idea of Swerve and MJF and Texas Death could be money. It's cool enough as a match when you got two people who are just going for it, like bomb for bomb, syringe for syringe. It's just amazing. I love that stuff. But MJF being in Texas Death but not wanting any part of it could add new dimension to what is AEW's best stipulation. But then I think, so who's synonymous with it? Swerve, Hangman, Mox are in that Texas Death club of they've made that stipulation what it is between the three of them in different programs. It seems like Mox and Swerve in that specific stip is like a true AEW dream match. Just give us two for the year, and that'll be fine, actually. But it's interesting that they're going to that. It is interesting that they're going to Mox versus Swerve, because clearly Ricochet and Mox isn't happening.
Well, this is the thing. So this was what I immediately thought of, and I thought of you when they were doing this. I almost audibly went, no, don't say it. And they say it's the world title. And I was like, right, well, you may have kind of given stuff away there, and it's a trope that I know you don't like, of them sort of plotting so far in advance, you can immediately guess what's going to happen.
I knew Swerve was going to get his win back.
Well, I will say,
the need to do it for the whole Jimmy Rave deal as well.
Yeah, I am conflicted, because there is a version of events where it's not as straightforward as you think, because obviously this will go on before the Cope Mox match. And you go, oh, okay, well, yeah, obviously Swerve's getting his win back.
Cope Ricochet, as good as Ricochet is so TNA coded, though.
Yeah. But also, that doesn't necessarily mean that Mox wins. Because if in the alternate version of events, there's still a heel walking out of Revolution as champion. His name's just Christian Cage.
Yeah.
So, like, you could have Swerve wins. Oh, my God. Cope actually beats Mox.
Yeah.
Christian cashes in. Oh, it's still back to a heel babyface dynamic. The one thing I would have suggested, right, which I think might make this...
Since you were talking about the start of it.
This, which I thought of this morning, which might make it better, is...
I actually want Swerve to beat Ricochet in that classic pro wrestling way, but
yes,
carry on.
Is they should have said, and I don't know whether you agree with this or not, the winner gets a shot at a title. A shot at a title of their choosing, right? Because...
Jump down my throat when I do this.
No. It's a shot at the title of their choosing, because you can even have, in advance, you could put it in people's minds that maybe Swerve's not going to win this, because, yes, obviously, if you get a shot at any title, why wouldn't you pick the world title? Yeah. Ricochet's a bitch. So he's going to be like, in advance of, like, when I beat Swerve, I just want to let you know, I'm not going to be going after Mox. Those Deathriders are scary dudes. And hey, my pals in the Hurt Syndicate have already got the tag titles. And then you can say perhaps he challenges for, I don't know, because it felt like he was going to be going for like the TNT title or whatever. Or he can sort of...
nah.
I know, but in terms of implanting that in people's minds of maybe it's not as straightforward as Swerve winning that, because obviously Swerve goes to the world title because he's Swerve.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I immediately thought of you and your concerns about them doing this sometimes.
Look, I know that I hate that usually, but as you say, the Christian Cage wrinkle will always add something to that Cope Mox main event. And ultimately, some of the best wrestling stories are heel is a complete dickhead. You find them so abrasive that even, at 39, when you know better, you still get annoyed by them and love to hate them. I just want Swerve to beat Ricochet in that classic pro wrestling. I really like that good. He's a badass. I want him to beat up that little geek twerp in the most earnest, I'm up for this way. So on this occasion, I don't mind that they are kind of signposting what the finish is.
But good news, bad news for Prince Nana. Swerve's going to get your road back, and then the Deathriders are probably going to kill you as part of the build to Mox versus, which would be what, Dynasty, probably? Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. We see Renee Paquette backstage with Hangman Adam Page, who basically threatens to run MJF over the next time he sees him. Leaves the arena.
Good line, that.
Yeah. Before we get the trios match, it is TNT champion Daniel Garcia. And by the way, we talked about this on Collision earlier on in the week. Hamflet had the exact same thing as me as, who's the TNT champion again? Which is not a great sign. Love Garcia, but yeah, really needed.
Really good in this match, Garcia.
Yeah, it was Garcia teaming with FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood versus the Undisputed Kingdom, which is, of course, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Roderick popped in again yesterday.
I saw the screenshot, mate.
He's not a regular. And by the way, we realised that we said this yesterday. Don't worry, he's not a regular character. He's not Stax, okay? He will only appear when Roderick Strong is booked on Dynamite. But now it seems as though we're saying, stop booking Roderick Strong. We love Roderick Strong.
Roderick Strong, again, another great individual performance here.
It's not some sinister plan. It was just a character was born out of me being unable to talk. Very quickly, do you want to take a stab at the riddle?
Yes, okay.
Roderick hit us with yesterday. I wasn't here for this, unfortunately. I was busy sorting out the helipad stuff because it was like he was parked there and Stax was coming in for the NXT review. It was all this thing. Anyway, but he asked Hamflet, what kind of room has no doors or windows?
Sure you did this for the Raw riddle.
Maybe.
Say it again.
I would have done it, but he, two different people, obviously. So.
Yeah. So what is it? No. What's the setup again?
What kind of room has no doors or windows?
A mushroom.
Bingo!
I wish you were here. I've had no bloody clue. Apparently, I wasn't here for this. I got it obviously straight away, but anyway, where are we? Oh yeah, Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, and Kyle O'Reilly versus FTR and Daniel Garcia.
We have a lot of fun with Deputy Dex. He was awesome in this match.
Yeah, I was going to make notes. I will say I try to make notes because I don't like the people who do.
You got sidetracked by something else downstairs before we didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, there was that. But also, I don't like the people who go, yeah, there was some action and they went into a break and then they came back and here's when it's... Because I feel like, well, people taking bumps on their back. Let's give them a mention.
My
right?
God.
But I have neglected to make notes up until we're going to a break bit. Because what was that? It went insane.
It was absolutely...
What was the tweet you wrote?
Right, so my take, if you haven't watched this, by the way, you need to go and watch the first half of this match. It actually peaked before the finish, which didn't look amazing, which we'll get to. So there's some really great individual interactions. Dax Harwood looked like really motivated in a good way. Sometimes I think his motivation to have great matches is so transparent that you think you're just trying to have a great match and it's a bit desperate. Here, he was just on fire. Like his worked punches, he's out of his jurisdiction on Dynamite, not Collision, Deputy Dax. And we have a lot of fun with him because he's bit of a mark for himself now. But my God, he was awesome. He was awesome. His interactions, whenever he was in the ring, he just felt like he wanted to fight. He was fixing to kick some ass. Like, he was just great. So, people pair off and the action's great. And, Adam Cole looks like he's up for it again. It breaks down on the outside and the chairs are out, but they're seated. So people are sitting at them and getting drop kicked. It starts when someone flies into someone, a drop kick onto a seated opponent.
Shotgun drop kick. Yeah,
Shotgun drop kick. And then I can't even see who it is because it's all happening so fast. Then there's a receipt, someone else is a drop kick. And then they're flying all over the place. And then Roddy Strong takes Danny Garcia and just backbreaker, but on the edge of the barricade.
Tornado DDT off the apron.
Tornado DDT off the apron. It's Cash Wheeler who's going mental because Cash Wheeler's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to ask low key, high key, want to see a Cash Wheeler singles run. He's an animal. So it all breaks
Cash Wheeler's like, I'm just going to kill the Deathriders.
Yeah. I love that. So they're all kicking each other's ass, flying about the place, like shotgun drop kicks, tornado DDTs, backbreakers onto barricades. And then it's like, oh, well, what's Excalibur's phrase? So Michael Cole goes, as Raw rolls on. I've tweeted this 2 seconds. He's got a specific phrase.
Don't go anywhere. Not don't go anywhere, but
don't
it's implied.
Go anywhere. Something like that. Don't you dare miss it. Or don't go anywhere.
Don't you touch your uppers and downers, or
that sort of thing. It's going to annoy me. It's going to annoy me if I don't get
at M. Sidgwick, by the way.
Don't go anywhere. Simple. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. Right. It felt genuinely like, for whatever reason, they decided, should we do the best version of this ever? They had like a little bet backstage.
Yeah.
Should we do the best? It's like they put more effort, genuinely, into this don't go anywhere. We need to do something so cool that we want to keep viewers interested after the commercial break. Should we just do the best one of all time? Do a bet of like, I hope the locker room, genuinely, I'm not being facetious here, I hope this becomes a running bit in that AEW locker room of who can do the coolest thing in a match that actually makes me go, all right, okay, well, they're going to commercial, they do a heat spot, and it doesn't really work because you meant to want to see the heel be a dick, but you can't because it's in picture-in-picture. And then it comes back, and it's just, especially if you're watching on Fight and you're not watching the commercials, it is a little bit distracting because you can see the cues and like, right, okay, we're not really wrestling because there's no point in bumping when no one's watching. So as an international viewer on Triller, it's a little bit distracting, This was like, God. Do a new bit in the AEW locker room where the don't go anywhere bit of, right, we need to do something cool before the break. Better this next week. Have a competition amongst yourselves, right?
Do you think they're only doing this game because it's a bit like now? Like, now City are crap. Who's going to win the Premier League? because Darby Allin's not here.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we all have got a chance now.
Well, don't go anywhere. Darby Allin might actually be dead. Come back.
He wins automatically if he's playing, but everyone else has got a chance now. My God,
this was a little 45-second. I'm not exaggerating here. It might sound like Nirvana.
It was wild.
Right, I've got this thing where wrestling, a lot of it sucks, and I'm cursed to love it because so little of it just sends me up a height. Makes me just bleed. It's when it's done best outside of the works of David Lynch, it is the best thing ever. This is 45 seconds. Oh, this is why wrestling's the best thing ever. I was peeling myself off the ceiling, jumping around like an idiot, like losing my mind at how awesome this sequence was.
And then, when we come back from the break,
AEW Locker Room challenge has been, the gauntlet has been thrown down, right? Go and do better than this.
Dax Harwood surrounded, but
his defiance here was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, he fights back with, he gets hit with a series of knees, but he sends Strong into Cole, puts
crafty worked punches.
Sharpshooter on O'Reilly. He gets the ropes. Garcia and Wheeler appear, and they try to do the triple sharpshooter, but there's a triple small package from the Undisputed Kingdom.
Right. Sorry, I need to interject. I get the kind of logic of, well, if we do a small package, it means they can't make the save, but it's still, at the same time, you have to like think about that one step of like, why are they all doing pins when they're not the legal man? Oh, I guess they're doing it because it means they can't do a save. I couldn't tell if this was like quite cute and creative or it made no sense or a weird combination of the two, but ultimately I wouldn't want to see that one done again.
Garcia takes out Strong with a boot, turns Cole out inside out with a lariat, but Strong gets put in a sharpshooter. Garcia no-sells the O'Reilly kick, so he puts him in a guillotine. Wheeler puts on an abdominal stretch. Everyone gets tied up, but in amongst all this, Cole gets a jackknife pin on Garcia for the 1-2-3, who can't believe this. And we get announced very quickly that Cole's going to fight Garcia for the TNT title on Collision this week. There's a moment where Garcia offers a handshake, but O'Reilly kicks it away, and they all get into it, FTR and the Kingdom. I think Roderick Strong gozzed at Dax Harwood at one point, but all's not well between these two teams. And Cole's got the title shot.
I'm honestly really happy that it's not happening on Dynamite. Caveat, we don't know yet. They might do a time. Yeah, I meant the paper. Sorry, I meant Revolution. They might time limit draw it. Who knows? They might do something. But I was thinking they've been building this in a weird way. They've been building this Adam Cole, Daniel Garcia match for a few weeks now, and I was worried, does Revolution need this? Can we not just have a leaner, all-killer, no-filler pay-per-view once? Because I suspect, like, if that was sandwiched between MJF and Hangman and Ospreay Fletcher, it's just not going to do as well as it would. And now it's got its own, it's got a main event collision. They're going to do FTR versus two of the Undisputed Era as well. That's going to be awesome if that reaches its ceiling. Absolutely awesome. I'm quite fired up for Collision because I feel like Cole Garcia could be a good match on its own terms. On a TV show, it's got more of a chance of getting over. So Collision looks good. Revolution looks better by its absence, if that makes any sense. This match, though, is awesome as that it's all broken down sequence was. It got a little bit too cute and contrived in that way that FTR matches can, when
especially with the bar they set going to the break.
Yeah, like I just think it started to feel like it was all unraveling. Dax looked mean and defiant, just throwing fists out when he was, getting beat up and ganged up on, and then it just got a little bit. Sometimes those FTR signatures can feel contrived and a bit cute, and it sort of trended in that direction before the finish, which was anticlimactic. But my God, I'll remember this for a long time for that sequence. Unbelievable stuff.
Wild. It was well worth checking out. You're right. We see Claudio sneaking around backstage looking for Cope, who just jumps in from behind, and they brawl.
Stone Cope.
Brawl into the arena around ringside. Wheeler Yuta shows up and attacks Cope from behind. That allows Claudio to send him into the steps as Marina Shafir just watches on. Cope gets chucked in the ring. Claudio grabs a chair and starts nailing him in the back with it. Yuta wants to Pillmanize his neck, but Claudio's like, no, we're going to concerto this twat. As he's about to do that, Switchblade Joe Watt's music hits, and he storms down to the ring. This distraction has allowed Cope to recover, and he grabs one of the chairs, hits a few shots with it. There's a spear to Claudio in there. Marina Shafir hops on his back, though, but he chucks her off just in time for her to get nailed by a Busaiku knee, accidentally, of course, by Wheeler Yuta, who gets taken out with a Blade Runner by Joe White. Claudio gets face planted onto a chair, given the concerto by Cope as White holds off Jon Moxley with another chair, as we mentioned earlier on. And then Cope, I'm like, guys, what are we doing? I get it, but you can't do this. Cope sets up
to that place.
Cope's going to concerto a woman. Marina Shafir, it's not going to happen, obviously, but I'm glad that they did it the way that they did, because as we've alluded to in previous podcasts, who's had a real problem with Marina Shafir? Who makes all the sense in the world to be like, you can't, but I can. The lovely Willow Nightingale, who's now like, I'm the nicest person in wrestling, but I'm going to cave her head in. She gives a concerto to Marina Shafir. And yeah, someone finally stands tall over the Deathriders properly. This could be the beginning of the end.
I mean, here's hoping. I wouldn't want Swerve to do a job to Mox.
No.
I mean, who's got the most value now? Swerve by miles. Miles, you know? It's Deathriders experiment has failed, but at the same time, this is the second consecutive week in which they've actually generated a decent reaction that this can almost masquerade as something that isn't awful, that people are into. I'm not, for various reasons. I didn't like Cope's facials on Collision last week. I thought they were really, really overdone. I do not take Mox seriously one bit when he's standing behind the barricade watching Cope do his stuff. And I'm not saying that Mox doesn't rate Cope or anything like that. I'm not. He might not. He might. I think he probably does. Who the hell knows? But watching Mox on the other side of the barricade begging off as Cope is like unleashed, you know, he's doing this face like, God, I can't believe this guy. I can't get to that guy. What's this guy capable of? I can't believe what I'm seeing here. I don't believe it either, Moxley. Do you know what I mean? I just do not buy his performance at all. But the people are reacting to this. Look, I'm not being funny. The implied threat tease of man-on-women violence. I'm not saying that these people in the arena wanted it, but it's such a shocking, you can't do that you're obviously going to come up for it. So maybe that had a lot to do with it, but that doesn't explain last week's positive reaction. So I'm going to, look, maybe they've turned the corner and people like it and I don't, and that's fine. But because there's so many other good like things on AEW TV at the moment, like, you know, this Ospreay Fletcher stuff has been great for months. MJF Hangman is really starting to come together. We are being reminded now. Oh God, Orange Cassidy's class all over again. Swerve, like the Ricochet being great. There's a lot of good stuff happening in AEW. What I'm saying now is in the year 2000 in WWF, it was everyone's hot or everyone's over. Okay. And it's like, well, you know, you've got Rock and Triple H and Jericho and like Angles in that main event scene. And like, bloody hell, where did Rikishi come from? He's dead entertaining, isn't he? And all the way down the line, bloody hell, even the headbangers are over in this hardcore title picture. I think the Deathriders are like in that sort of head cheese headbangers tier of, oh, well, I'm just happy to see the show now. Oh, they're out as well. Oh, yeah, they're all right there. I'll make noise for them. I'm in a good mood. I think they are everyone's in a good mood with AEW, and this move to small venues has paid dividends, as everyone said 12 months ago. Maybe they are the head cheese. Deathriders head cheese.
Okay.
Why are you laughing at head cheese?
Yeah, that's a great comparison. And I've just realised I'm really looking forward to next week's Dynamite.
Because there is, you know, they're kind of like, they're all like, it's like having 3 Steve Blackmans, isn't it?
Yes.
We're all dead hard, and we all like wear black clothing. Yeah.
But that's Pac taken out, Marina Shafir, Claudio. There's only one left to really be taken out.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that one.
On Collision.
Let me tell you.
You hate Wheeler Yuta.
Rubbish.
He's not rubbish, though.
No, he's not rubbish. He's not rubbish. I shouldn't say that. He's like that match with Mox, obviously, was incredible.
Sensational. It's not working. All that time just to cast him as a little punk.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have done that without the 3 years.
Yeah. Sidge, it's almost time for the main event. So you know what that means? It's time for the one women's match on this show.
Sure is.
And before we talk about it, we have to talk about the most obvious thing that popped all three of us. Hamlet is not here today, but he's messaged us about this. The sign that popped up in the crowd as they're about to square off. The ladies' night 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sign.
How do you say that though? How do you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 usually?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. Please let us know whoever that was, because I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Awesome.
As we got to, Harley Cameron versus Deonna Purrazzo.
Some context if this is your first ever podcast and you've somehow made it this far.
Oh, of course, yes.
Not this week, but most weeks. It's only fair when the three of us are here for the preview and the review. And there was no one was here for the preview because no one took it seriously from what I've heard. But usually we play a game called Ladies' Night. The idea is to put in bold, italicize, and underscore how the fact that there's only one women's match conveniently slotted more often than not before the main event, with the idea being, it's pretty cynical, innit? They don't think you want to watch women's wrestling after all this time, so we'll just put it just before the main event because the psychology is, well, they've come this far. If we put the beards on now, this is my interpretation of their cynical thought process. They'll stick around for the main event. And I just think Ladies' Night with no context.
Yes.
Sounds pretty glib. And that is not the intention.
No.
I'd rather see Statlander than Jericho. I'd rather see Willow Nightingale. God damn it, I think I'd rather watch Saraya than Chris Jericho. What do you think of that?
I will mention the fact that when we saw this card announced, this was the most confident I'd ever been that this was where this match was going to go in the card. It wasn't necessarily thinking it was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It turned out to be 1, 2, 7, 4, 3. And a whopping 8 minutes and 1 second dedicated to this match. Thank you, as always, to Panda Blair, Adam Wilton, at Adam Wilton 4 on X, and Jose Palomares at the Ho 11. Always take care of the
data
for this sort of thing. But yes, it was Deonna Purrazzo versus Harley Cameron, the only women's match on this show. Purrazzo grabs her hair early. No respect for the lovely Harley Cameron, but she fights back and. Cameron goes up top but gets her legs sweeped out from underneath her, and Purrazzo hits her with a pump kick and a baseball slide to the outside to take us to a break. I was about to say Lyra Valkyria. That's the other one. Taya Valkyrie is watching on backstage for all this. The Vendetta they are, aren't they?
Not for long, apparently.
Well, when things return from the break, Purrazzo hits a spin kick and a knee lift for a near fall. She puts Cameron in the tree of woe, but she manages to kick her way out of it. Harley Cameron, that is. Makes a comeback. Enziguri, the crowd are loving it. She hits that shining wizard of hers for a near fall. Cameron wanted a bulldog, but Purrazzo escaped into a pump kick and a powerbomb for 2. She puts her in the Venus de Milo, but Cameron gets a roll-up and then suddenly hits a rolling cutter out of nowhere for the 1, 2, 3. A win for Harley Cameron, and as Hamlet mentioned yesterday, happy to see her getting more chance to shine after the showcase that she got in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. She's not a flash in the pan. People have really gravitated towards her. She's done an unbelievable job of getting and staying over, maximizing the minutes. Just people have really, really, really warmed to her. There's just a warmth around the act. I think they've detected that this isn't really a novelty. There's an air of novelty to it. There's, like prop comedy. It doesn't get much more novelty than that, but as a true bond has been established between performer and audience, so absolutely stick with it. I will say that this wasn't a blow-away great match, obviously, but it was a decent bit of business, and I haven't really been high on Deonna Purrazzo at all in AEW. It just hasn't worked out. Usual caveats of how can you possibly get momentum when you are appearing on TV at best, if you're in that tier of the women's division once every 6 weeks, really, once every 4. But it just hasn't worked. She didn't get over. She didn't deliver in the ring, and she got a pretty big spot early. And I think she got stigmatized as someone who just didn't work out. Probably too early on this evidence. I thought she did a very, very, very professional, selfless, commendable job with Harley Cameron. Like a really good job, actually. And it made me think, you know what? Maybe I've written her off too early, Deonna Purrazzo. She could be utilized as, a gatekeeper. Like she's not going to be, a main eventer. She's not going to be women's title tier. But there are significantly worse gatekeepers you can have, and I know them from my coverage of AEW over the past 5 years than Deonna Purrazzo in this role. Thought she did well.
We see Marina Shafir and Claudio getting loaded into the ambulance, pre-ordered, of course, at the start of the show by Cope.
You're not Austin, right? If you are Austin in 1998, you can come to the arena because it's a different world, by the way. It's a heightened world. I don't think people want a heightened world in AEW. We've seen so much evidence of it that unless you're amazing and you're Hangman Page and you can burn someone's house down, you're just on that boundary. You're just on that boundary, but it's almost cool when someone can get away with something, you know? Cope can't. He doesn't have the credibility. Like Austin in 1998 could have done something like this. He was doing bloody monster trucks and ambulances every single week. He could like pre-order it and go, McMahon's going to end up in this by the end of the night. And you think, I know he is because I can believe in Austin and I love Austin and it's going to be funny when it happens. Like this just... Maybe it's a case of what do I know? Cope's getting more over in these buildings. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'm being too cynical.
But the main event...
It's stupid, though. It's absolutely stupid. We shouldn't be doing it. This main event kicked so much ass.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. This a real over-delivery. Not in terms of we didn't anticipate the people involved in it weren't going to be good, but I think we all
I think it was going to be... I knew it was going to be great. I didn't think it was going to be this great.
So it was Konosuke Takeshita versus Orange Cassidy.
I might interject at various points.
Absolutely, jump in. Versus Orange Cassidy for the international title. Before this, by the way, there's a video package with Orange Cassidy's history.
Does that shock you? I love the international title series. Carry on.
Yeah. Takeshita, at the start of the match, takes off Orange Cassidy's sunglasses, breaks them and eats them.
Oh my God.
So Cassidy, obviously, I don't know why I thought of this, but Baby Driver-esque immediately has a second pair ready to put on. Shoulder block, Takeshita takes off the sunglasses and presents them to Don Callis, who just thinks he looks the business wearing them, basically. More on that in a bit.
Everyone looks good in shades.
Yeah, the right shades. You have to have the right shades. There was a period of time where I was probably like 15 and I wasn't wearing them. I'll find a picture of you for you afterwards, where it was just like, no wonder you couldn't get any chicks, man. Look at you. What are you wearing?
Terrible sunglasses. You got ginger pubes.
You got your like solid, you know, like on the in-betweeners when your hair's like, oh, that's a lot of gel in your hair.
Yeah,
when his mum says that was definitely my mum. Why are you saying that? It's just really rock solid. You look like a hedgehog. What are you doing going out like that?
Ginger the hedgehog.
Yeah, it was just no bueno.
Knuckles over here.
But Takeshi just nails Orange Cassidy early on with the forearm. Cassidy comes back there with a slingshot DDT, plays a bit to the crowd. So, again, Takeshita rises up and kills him with a forearm to take us into a break. When we come back...
Sorry, I might have missed the bit. Either I'm ahead of you or whatever. Just in case you missed it, there's a spot, I think it's pretty early, right, or a sequence early, when they're just testing each other out, you know, getting the measure of one another, where Takeshita is about to, like, stamp on him. But it's the best kind of stamp. I've said this a million times, and I will say it a million more. Make the thing that you're going to miss look like you are actually going to hit it. He stamps this mat so far, knowing that, you know, you're going to roll out the way Orange Cassidy. He would have broken his fucking nose. He would have broken his fucking nose if he had hit this, right? And then another bit, like seconds later, when Cassidy gets up, and this really informs, like one of the near falls of the year already, Orange Cassidy goes to an early orange punch. Takeshita just does the most subtle roll of the shoulders.
The boxing, yeah, the boxing.
Like the boxing thing. It's just like, you can't get anywhere near me, you little comedy goof with your glasses.
And now you stood right in front of me.
And now do the forearm. Takeshita. This is the best individual Takeshita performance I've seen in an AEW ring in ages. He's always great. He had something to prove here.
Well, never mind that. What about when we come back from the break? They've done like a crossbody lariat. Cassidy counters a blue thunder bomb, tries his spinning DDT. Takeshita blocks that. So Cassidy tries to hit a Stun Dog Millionaire, and Takeshita stops out of nowhere and hits him with a blue thunder bomb.
Oh my God.
One of the best counter sequences you will see in ages. I'm actually cross with myself because I didn't preview it. I suspect, right, if I previewed this yesterday, it's half term, I was looking after the kids. A really nice day out with them.
Nice.
Really nice day out with them. Tuesday, maybe that was a challenge. But Wednesday was great. I suspect if I was here to preview it, I might have gone, yeah, the match will be really good, but Takeshita's going to win.
Yes.
I was in a good mood with the international title series because I feel like we're going to get international champion Omega versus Orange Cassidy. I like how it's all unfolding, but it's not like do cartwheels. Not like I cannot wait for this. I can't wait to wake up and watch it. I was so glad I watched this when I woke up, though, in retrospect. This was unbelievable. But I'm cross with myself for not realizing, this is going to be unbelievable. Not just a great TV match, which the match graphic basically told you it was going to be, because Orange Cassidy is amazing at these counter chain sequences and outwitting people, and Takeshita is as well, but he is so good at just deadlifting people and stopping them dead in their tracks. I should have seen a sequence like this coming, but I mean, these are the geniuses. These are the guys who can do it. I couldn't have thought. Maybe I should come on with a renewed sense of optimism ahead of every preview, because these guys are unbelievable in the ring. Yeah, and I think we take them for granted.
You're
talk
right.
about chocolate too much, don't we?
That's not me. It's him. Don't blame me.
This sequence, though, again, if you're just catching up on Dynamite through this podcast, and there is an element of it's not the most must-see show in the world anymore. Watch this goddamn match. It was awesome. Takeshita looked like a demigod who you cannot beat in here.
And I did laugh. They spilled to the outside following this. Callis is on commentary and he's like, I'm going to get a shot in here. Bryce Remsburg comes flying in. No, John! Stops it all. Cassidy clears out the commentary table, dares Takeshita to fight him on there, puts his hands in his pockets. Takeshita wants a powerbomb on there, but Orange Cassidy connected on a beach break, and the table just half breaks in the best. I always say, it's great when the table doesn't break. I think this is my favorite version of everything. Table explodes, great. Table doesn't move, great. Table half collapses and slide off. Everyone's dead.
Yeah, this was awesome. And again, just, invoke Michael Cole of all people on our AEW coverage, but vintage Orange Cassidy. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, right, that's what you're doing.
He had a forearm, didn't he? A forearm went back, and I was like, why are you clearing the table? That looks so obvious. But
he's just luring him in.
Yeah. And there was a second here, because Hamlet mentioned this yesterday, of there's a version of this match where no one wins, and they go on and do a triple threat with Omega. And I wouldn't have been that offended by that. In the moment, you're like, I really wanted to...
I don't triple threats, watch WWE, guys.
But... There's a bit here and I was like, this is it. They both getting counted out, but they both just beat the count back inside.
Drama was off the charts for this.
Yeah, Takeshita runs straight into an orange punch. She goes back outside. Suicide tornado DDT from Cassidy. And then he rips the sunglasses back off Don Callis. Goes for a diving DDT back inside, but Takeshita kills him with a forearm. About 3 or 4 times in this sequence. I was like, well, that's the finish.
Yeah.
Boom! Takeshita wants a Fire Thunder driver. Cassidy counters into a Stun Dog Millionaire. Oh, cool, that's the finish. No, Cassidy wants a Casadora. Takeshita counters into a Bastard driver. Goes for another. Cassidy turns that into a flipping Casadora for a 2 count.
I was jumping up and down with glee, like a little mark in my living room watching this. And it was awesome.
I'm there going, well, I guess... it's Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega at Revolution, and he looks for the...
there's a 2.9999999.
Yeah,
that's just... I just thought, right, okay, well, that's a title change. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, and he goes to the home run Orange Punch, but Takeshita cuts him off. Fire Thunder Driver, 1, 2, 3.
This was absolutely unbelievable professional wrestling, and I think the crowd would have been... If this is just the match you would have expected, I would too class this as an over delivery.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be great. I didn't think it was going to be this great. It was so dramatic and well wrestled. And this international title is special. It is special. And I think maybe these fans, we were goldfishes about this match. Maybe these fans are like, well, no, it's an international title match. It's going to be great. These matches are invariably great. I think with AEW, this international title has when was it launched? 2022?
Asking me.
I think it is near enough coincided with the wider creative decline, okay? 2022 at some point.
June 2022,
right. So...
All Atlantic, I forgot about that name.
Yeah, All Atlantic. I think it became the international... I think Orange Cassidy's won it after Brawl Out. So it's coincided with the fall part of the rise and fall of AEW. It's some fall, considering some of the seminal moments we've seen, but you know what I mean.
I've got a game for the end of this podcast, by the way.
Broadly, what I'm saying is that this international title has coincided with AEW's decline and the controversy and the idea that it's hard to really separate it from like the turmoil coursing through the organization, you know. This international title has been one of the highlights, if not the highlight, of this sort of era of AEW of like, oh, it's a bit cold and it's, you know, mistakes have been made. And maybe this group of fans in that building, what was it, the front wave? What was it?
Yeah, Mercedes said it earlier, didn't she? Oceans. Hang on, let me find my notes from the Oceanside.
Unbelievable match, but maybe I'm a cynical dickhead and thought badly of it, or just like apathetically about it.
I was the same. No,
this is an unbelievable match. The drama counters so believable. Like that frisson, that only in AEW frisson. Sorry, you won't see a match like this on Raw all year. You just won't. I'm sorry. Or SmackDown, or NXT for that matter. This is that only in AEW best-in-class professional wrestling, baby. Then this match was absolutely off the charts great. And before we play the game, I did think I had one more thing to say. This international title series, I was the first to go, that's weird. Yes, Omega got the pin on Takeshita, but doesn't that pretty much qualify him to just go for the title? Haven't, like, literally on this show, Cole pins Garcia, and he doesn't have to do a TNT title series, so it just came off as, that's unnecessary. That's just an excuse to do some matches, and they'll be good. It's weird. It's been great. It's been great.
Got 2 main events out of it.
Yeah, you've had one very good main event, one unbelievable main event. You'd expect the match at Revolution to be incredible. And what it's also done is it's paid a nice little touching tribute to the lineage of the international title, a reminder to people like me who maybe who should give AEW more credit than they do, that, you know what, they've got an absolutely unbelievable history, nice to cherish it, nice to play off it. And it's a very crucial reminder because Orange Cassidy really didn't do that great as an episodic TV character in the build to the Moxley match last year. That Orange Cassidy is amazing. He is an amazing pro wrestler, and maybe I need a reminder of that. And guess what helps out? Tony Khan's booking and storytelling. Maybe he knows what he's doing after all. And Takeshita probably going to lose to Omega. That's the finish I would book.
Yeah.
Just kind of guy I am. Butter in my ass and a lollipop in my mouth. 1 second. And just a reminder, Takeshita, you know, hasn't always been in AEW, but he's had a great run with this title. Cassidy's amazing. Omega's going to win a title that really means something at Revolution. International title series, goated, argue with the wall.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game!
Michael Sidgwick,
Yep.
Can you name the 8, I'm just going to give it the current title, international champions that we've had in AEW?
Okay, so we are going to do, I'll try and do it chronologically.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Bonus question as well for if you start this well.
Right, okay. So, it is the inaugural champion crowned at Forbidden Door 2022 is Pac, beating out Miro, Malachi Black, and Clark Connors.
Not Joseph Connors.
Not Joseph. Bingo! Pac.
That was going to be my extra question, by the way.
I thought so. Pac, in a continuation of that wonderful feud in, when was that? Best time of my life? February 2020. Drops it to Orange Cassidy. Bingo! Orange Cassidy has that incredible run. Pure in-ring storytelling. His body falls apart. It ultimately gives out in a match against Roddy Strong?
No, dear, that's wrong.
Right. Who does Cassidy lose that belt to? John Moxley.
All Out September 2023.
Yes. He then... Right, okay, because I've gone too far. I've missed this chapter because it was a regrettable chapter. Moxley loses it in an enforced finish to Rey Fenix. Bingo! Moxley gets his win back. Does he?
No, never holds it again.
Who's Phoenix drop it to? Does he drop it through injury as well?
Doesn't say, but he only holds it, like Mox holds it for 17 days, Phoenix holds it for 20.
Phoenix. Because Phoenix doesn't drop it directly to Roddy.
No.
Does it go back to Orange Cassidy? Bingo! To Roddy Strong? Bingo! To Will Ospreay? Bingo! To MJF? Bingo! To Will Ospreay? Bingo!
What was the name of the title, by the way, when MJF held it?
The American title. Bingo! We're back on Ospreay, who loses it to Takeshita in a three-way, also involving Ricochet. Bingo! Got there in the end.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah, by the way, Takeshita is already the second longest reign ever in the international. Well, I suppose technically third.
Yeah.
Cassidy's two are both longer, but
yeah,
Cassidy is the king of this, and then Takeshita's done phenomenally well, obviously, with it, and up until next Sunday. But yeah, very excited for this match at AEW Revolution, and more great build to it on last night's Dynamite. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comment section below, or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there, you can follow both of us. You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
You can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. As mentioned, me and Sidge will be back on Monday to review AEW Collision. But for now, it's been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Let's edit that out.